Continues in his global quest to secure the return of precious artifacts stolen from the ancient kingdom of Benin by British colonial forces in 1897. Controversy has been brewing back home over where they should be warehoused and their ownership. But whilst the Oba of Benin, Ewuare II, and the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, may reach a resolution on which institution should take custody of the heirlooms, bronze casters in the state have challenged the claim of a foreign-based group which is asserting part ownership of the artifacts. We discussed the twists and turns surrounding the custody and ownership of the Benin bronze artifacts. We're now being joined by the former Edo State Commissioner for Arts, Culture and Tourism, Osaze Ozenwenge Ero. Good morning, Osaze, and welcome to the morning show.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Well, quickly, as Edo State Commissioner for Arts, Culture and Tourism, you were actively involved in the negotiations for the return of the Benin artifacts. Now we are at a stage where Germany has agreed to return some of those artifacts, and yet we now have issues around ownership, around custody, and you know all the stakeholders involved. So, from what you know, who is the actual owner of these artifacts? Is it the palace, or the state government, or the Igun community? And who should take custody of those artifacts when they eventually returned?
Well, thank you for having me here. And this is a very controversial question. But again, we should know that as Benin's, the Omonoba Edo Ukuakpolokpolo, His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, is the custodian of our culture, Edo culture. And I don't think there's any controversy. As a former commissioner for art and culture, we were working in the interest of returning those artifacts back to Edo State. And the state governor as well has worked tirelessly for the return of those artifacts, traveling up and down, setting up committees to make sure those artifacts are returned. Those artifacts were stolen from the states, from the Benin in 1897, and it's been a lot of issues surrounding the return. As Commissioner for Culture, we were working seriously on that, and I'm glad that we are discussing the return of those artifacts now. Again, we created a lot of awareness as state government and as Commissioner for Culture about these artifacts. In 2018, we did the Edo Festival for Arts and Culture when we exhibited the photo of these stolen artifacts in their various locations across the globe. The museums where these artifacts are kept. And we've done a lot of work, create awareness, and that's the festival and the exhibition of those stolen artifacts we had done in the Palace of His Royal Majesty in 2018, commissioned by the governor of Edo State, Obaseki. So I don't think there's any issue with this. We just need to put our acts in order. The most important is that now that these artifacts, the Germans have agreed to return these stolen artifacts, which is a step forward compared to where we were some years back. Again, I was on a trip in 2019 having a meeting with the Nigerian ambassador to Germany, His Excellency Ambassador Tuga, on the Berlin Artifact Registration Campaign, when I was actually arrested in 2019 in Amsterdam. So I'm glad that this is coming home. I just came back yesterday, and I'm happy that we're coming home. And it will be resolved. There's no issue, because the press should stop spreading a lot of rumors. People are now coming that they have interest in this, they have interest in that. We know as Benin's, as the Edo people, that we're glad that these artifacts are coming back home.
Okay, we'll come to the story of your arrest and your deal in just a moment. But for someone who has been in the know of all of this and monitoring the recent conversations, what has been most surprising for you or shocking for you? And I ask because there seems to be a back and forth. There was an understanding initially for way back from the father of the current Oba to establish a royal museum, and according to Oba Ewuare II, he says the governor was in the know of that as well. And he was surprised to hear that there was a new private trust being set up. So what exactly do you know, and what is surprising to you? What has being the most shocking revelation for you so far in all of this ongoing conversations?
These conversations between the Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, and His Royal Majesty, I was not there. So I think the best person to answer that question would be the Governor. So I can't be speaking into things that I was not part of. But what I'm saying is the Benin son, the Royal Majesty, the Father, the Oba of Benin, is the custodian of our culture. And the most important thing is that the artifacts has been agreed to come back home. There's still a lot of job to be done on this because it's not just saying this. There's going to be a lot of work. It's not something that is going to come tomorrow or next tomorrow or that. But the process is being started. So we need to put our hearts together to work seriously for these things to be actualized. It's not only the Germans that have it, the British have it. We have our museum, we have these artifacts in Philadelphia, Minnesota, museums across the globe. Like I said, when we did a Edo Fest in 2018, we exhibited, where these artifacts are, being domiciled across the globe. So I'm glad. The most important is the step forward that the Germans have agreed to return it, which is very good. So other countries like France, Britain, and other places will take, the lead and do the same thing. Okay?
Right, Mr. Osaze, let's talk about your ordeal. What happened? Why were you arrested? What is this ordeal?
Very good question. Like I said, I was on official duty to Berlin on the 2nd of December 2019, in company with the former commissioner for local government and chieftaincy affair, Model Saigbovo. We were actually going for a meeting about these artifacts on the invitation of the Nigerian ambassador to Germany, His Excellency Ambassador Tuga. We were, en route through Amsterdam. We used KLM flight. We left Lagos and got to Amsterdam, and transit. And I was surprised that I put my passport through the transit hall and be flagged up. And I called the police and asked them what was going on, and they said, that there's issue with my passport, that I'm wanted in Italy. I said, Italy? What's going on? He said, for mafia-related offenses. I was shocked. I was surprised. I was confused. I didn't understand because the last time I visited Italy was in 2013. And you're telling me that I've been wanted in Italy for a mafia-related offenses. So we did I called the governor immediately to tell him what was going on. And the first question the governor asked me, are you innocent? I said, sir, yes, I am. I don't even know what is going on. Of course, I called my friends and my families and all that. And, we were all confused. So we started the process, got the lawyers, got in Nigeria. I called the Nigerian ambassador to Germany, Ambassador Tuga, who invited us and told him what was going on. And he contacted his colleague in Holland. And they gave me a lawyer. We started the process. We still even didn't know what was going on. We went to court, tried to fight the extradition because my lawyer requested for more proof from Italy to tell them what was actually going on. They didn't bring anything, only for them to say that I was involved in mafia-related offenses with a very huge crimes of kidnapping. The allegations was huge. Kidnapping, prostitution, human trafficking, importation and exportation of firearms, importation and exportation of drugs, importation and exportation of... it was serious. So I didn't even know where to begin from. So we did all we could, went to court, tried to fight the extradition. Eventually it failed, and I was extradited to Rome, Italy, on the 21st of February 2020, where the case actually started. Then on the 9th of March, I had the opportunity to be in court, first time, which was Freedom Court. And my lawyers challenged my arrest because they said the arrest procedure was not properly followed. There were a lot of errors in the prosecutor's arrest procedure. We had a victory on the 12th of March, and I was released, only for the prosecutor to come again and arrest me and said he was issuing a prosecutor's arrest warrant without even leaving the prison. So for all this, it became clear that I was a victim of racial discrimination and the manipulation of a very corrupt prosecutor, Dr. Stefano Castanelli, of the Italian justice system. That was what was going on, that went on. So we started the process. He rearrested me again. We went to court, and in July 10th, we had the opportunity to be in front of the court again and the judge, which was the pre-trial. So in all this while, I was in maximum security in Rome. I was thinking that I would have the opportunity to, once I go to the court, tell the judge what happened, and there's no single evidence against all these allegations, I will be released. But that was not the case. We were dealing with a very corrupt prosecutor who have jailed over 300 Nigerians in prison in maximum security across the globe, in Italy. So he said, I came for a meeting in 2013, and luckily enough, the meeting was recorded, was bugged by police, which was very good. He did his translation. He had it very doctored, and my lawyers, we paid for another translation as well, and it was different from the one he presented in court. So on the 10th of July, I raised my hand and told the judge, where is your evidence against me? You've kept me in maximum security in prison for over 7 months. I still don't know I've still not seen any single evidence of your accusations. So, and the judge said, then the lawyer said, the prosecutor said I should do the short trial, which they call a previato there. And a short trial, then you have 2/3 of your conviction sentence, and you go home, or you do the long trial, which takes about 4 years, almost 4 years for the trial, and you do the complete sentence if you are convicted. And I told my lawyer, what is different? He said the short trial, they judge you based on the case file. And apparently the prosecutor have investigated the so-called association for over 5 years, because they brought the case file to me and I read through it, saw it's been on their phone. There were phone interceptions for over 5 years. He'd been on the case, investigated the people that he was investigating there. So I said, what? There was no conversation between myself and anybody in Italy. So we had a pre-trial on the 10th of July, and I asked the judge, where is the evidence against me that you're calling me a mafia kingpin? And apparently they couldn't produce anything, and only for the prosecutor to say that I should do the short trial and have a house arrest. I said, but you give me house arrest, you already convicted me without even producing the evidence that you have against me. Apparently that is the system. That is what he's been doing to over 200 or 300 Nigerians that we have there. So I said, no, I told my lawyers, let's go for the long trial. As long, even if it's going to take 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, let them produce the evidence they have against me. And before we go on with the case. So we took the option of the long trial, and they keep on postponing the case, keep on postponing adjourning and all that. And because of coronavirus as well, that didn't help matters. So, but eventually, we got a date in November 24th, 2020. I was then transferred from Rome to Torino, where the case actually was. And what was a very strong deal again, being on 11 hours in handcuff and being on that route to Torino. So we go to Torino, we have the date on the 24th of November, and the prosecutor now presented a manual, and he said that is because the judge asked him, where is your evidence against Mr. Osaze that you are calling him a mafia kingpin? Only for the prosecutor to produce a manual, a forged manual, and said that this is the manual that the association used for their crimes. I said, is this a joke? You're calling me a mafia kingpin accused of, association that is involved in the importation and exportation of firearms, importation and exportation of cocaine drugs from South America to Nigeria to Italy, according to them, prostitution, human trafficking, extortion, kidnapping, and killings. And there is no single complaint, there is no single evidence, there is nothing to even show all these allegations. So you're producing a manual. And when we go through, my lawyers went through the manual, and saw that the manual was even forged. So I was laughing. It was a joke. I thought it was a joke. But then I've already spent almost 1 year in prison, in maximum security. And when I got to Torino prison, I met a few Nigerians who have been there for 4 years in the same offenses. And I asked them, what did you both do? They told me they didn't do anything. They all did a short trial. They didn't have money to take lawyers. They didn't have money. They didn't have a case because the government, the prosecutor, gave them government lawyers that he was manipulating as well against them. So they have a chance to make appeal. I said, okay, why did you guys have it? You've been there for almost 2 years. You made an appeal, or more than 2 years. Why did you not, speak in your appeal? They said that when they got to the appeal, they've already gave them 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, according to their positions in the association. And when it got to the day of the appeal, they told them that if you don't agree to all these, to the allegations, that you're going to be, the 10 years and 9 years, they will confirm it. But if you agree that you committed a crime, then they reduce their sentences to 6 years and 7 years. That is what the man was doing. So I was shocked. I said, okay, that's fine. I took the long trial. So we did all that, and on the 11th of February, 2021, it was the first day I had the opportunity to speak in court. And I told the judge that, first of all, I'm very disappointed that I've been kept in prison for over 1 year without no single evidence of crime committed. And all these allegations by this prosecutor, there's no single crime, there's no single evidence. The crime was not even committed, and you kept me here for over this time. So I spoke to the judge, and I proved them, I told them that the only physical evidence that was produced, the forged manual, is forged, and it cannot be used against me. And I told them that the justice all over the world is about facts and evidence, and this should not be an exception. First of all, I'm a senior government official who was arrested on official duty. Secondly, I'm a British citizen, so we got the British embassy involved through the MP. So they came and wrote to the lawyers, and through the lawyers to the judge. So we had all those things going because the trial was fixed for 6 months. It's supposed to be end of March, but they keep on adjourning and all that. But the case became very clear to me. The prosecutor was investigating few individuals who were involved in petty crime, in credit card fraud and marijuana sales in Italy. And apparently, because of the meeting that we had in 2013, it now concluded and decided that this is a Nigerian criminal organization. And I told them that it's not all Nigerians that are criminals. Yes, we have a lot of people committing crimes, serious crime across the globe, but everybody is not a criminal. And you cannot hold me here in prison without any single evidence of the crime of all your allegations against me.
Okay. Also say quickly, I take it that you've now been discharged and acquitted.
Yes.
That's how you returned to the country yesterday.
Exactly.
But at the time that case happened, part of the reports in the papers was that you were arrested for money laundering. That you were found with some $20,000.
$2 million.
$2 million, yes. So you are saying now that it's not about money laundering, it's about mafia-related, crimes, and you've been discharged. But you also recall that at that time, the Edo State government issued a statement saying that your trip had nothing to do with state, responsibility. There was a statement that more or less disowned you. Did you feel disappointed, considering the fact that you said you contacted the governor and he asked you whether you had done anything wrong and you assured him that you were innocent? Were you disappointed by the fact that the state government disowned you?
No, there's a mistake. The governor did not say that he was not on official duty. I read a statement by the special advisor to the governor of media, Crusoe. He said that, yes, I've been arrested, but it has nothing to do with the governor or the state government, which was correct. Not that they disowned me. The governor stood by me from day one. The governor contacted the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyema. I was on the phone to the governor from the detention center in Amsterdam, and he picked the other phone to call Mr. Oyema and said, look, my commissioner has been arrested. He told me he's innocent, and I believed him. And there's nothing the governor could do to come to Italy or Amsterdam to bring me out of prison. He had to use the diplomatic process through the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the ambassador to Nigeria or to that country. I'm very disappointed that the Minister of Foreign Affairs did not act, not just because of my case, but because of the Nigerians, all the other innocent Nigerians that are kept in prison. This kind of primitive politics, and of course, unfortunately, end the governor's sympathy and stabilize the Edo people's loyalty to Governor Obaseki. And that is why he's there back as the governor. I was not around, but people saw those primitive politics. How can you say in this modern age that somebody will carry $2 million and you will believe it? And even people that have traveled far and wide because of campaign and because of election started saying it. I was disappointed. But you can see that the governor never even responded because he knew they were all lies.
Okay, as I say, we're trying to manage time.
Okay.
Let's go back to the issue of the cultural artifacts. You said the artifacts may not come back so early. How long will it take? 5 years, 10 years before the process would end? And the Germans are saying this is just about moral responsibility. They are going to return some of the artifacts, not all. And I recall the Minister of Information saying that no, Nigeria will take back those artifacts without conditions. and that it's not about substantial. Everything should be returned. What do you think is likely to happen?
Don't forget, I'm no longer the Commissioner for Art and Culture. So I think there are processes. There are people that will handle those cases. There are people that will see from the beginning to the end to make sure those artifacts are returned. The most important thing is that it's coming back, on which I'm very pleased about. But there's something very important I need to tell you. We have over 300 to 400 Nigerian youths who are in prison unjustly because of this mafia-related crime. They did not commit that crime. I made a promise to them that I'm going to raise a voice. I'm going to create awareness for the release of those innocent Nigerians. And it begins from here, because every opportunity that I have is to tell the world what is going on. And we must fight as Nigeria, because I'm very disappointed that even as a senior government official, there was no support from the Nigerian government. It is wrong. I have spoken to the chairperson of Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri, who is very, very proactive, who is very vocal, and she's ready to work with us to make sure that those innocent people are released. It's important, because these over 300 Nigerians, they have families, they have wives, they have children, they have parents who are suffering as well. So we must not sit down and let them languish in prison because of a very corrupt and complex system. So what we need to do as Nigerians, beginning from today, is to make sure we support this campaign for the immediate release of those innocent Nigerians. I don't care whatever their justice system are. The prosecutors are very corrupt, and it is proven. And they are using us for modern-day slavery, because the European Union are paying money to them for fighting mafia. We don't have Nigerian mafia. We don't have mafia in Nigeria. And I'm not against anybody committing crime. If you commit any crime, of course, do the time. You should be prosecuted with evidence and let the person do the time. But these Nigerians that are left in prison, we must speak out. You understand? No matter how long it takes, if we're going to lead a protest to raise awareness for them to be released, it must be done.
Okay, real quickly. What's your political future? Now you are back to the States. You're no longer commissioner. You're still a politician. What's your political future?
My
what
political
next for
future, God will decide. But my priority is to make sure that these guys are released. That is my focus right now. And we will decide on what we need to do. I'm not, God brought me out of this problem. Because if it wasn't God, I won't be talking to you here today. So God will decide my future. God will decide wherever we're going to go. But I want to say, every opportunity that we must make sure that we raise awareness and these boys are released.
Are you seeking damages? Are you seeking redress? Because you say this was wrongful, this was detrimental to you and your political career. Are you seeking damages?
No. It's not detrimental to my political career. I've been exonerated. Of course, there's going to be damages. There's going to be compensation, which is the Italian procedure for that. But the most important thing, like I said, these Nigerians that are there, they don't have a voice. So we must fight to release them. And there should be compensation for anybody that have been jailed unjustly. Those people that have spent prison, those people that spend money to pay their lawyers, the time that they spend there, they should be there. Of course, there will be compensation. But we cannot do that if we start doing diplomatic process, telling the federal government to liaise with the Italian government and all that. No. We need to be very drastic about it. And I promised the prosecutor, Dr. Stefano Castanelli, that I'm coming for him. We are coming for him as a country to make sure that those innocent Nigerians are released and remove the pains on the children, the wives, the parents of those innocent people.
Well,
so we want you guys to be part of that for us, please.
Well, thank you very much, Osaze Osanwengero, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
and
welcome back home.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back home.
Thank you.